This story begins with several system windows informing citizens about a series of anomalous events occurring around the world. A giant abalone was reported found by fishermen on the coast, so immense that not even 10 people could surround it, suspected to be a mutation caused by nuclear wastewater. There was also information about an ancient tree in a tourist area growing wildly, spreading its roots for kilometers, and cracks appearing in the ground due to a possible abnormal earth pulse. The notifications continued with giant vines falling from the sky, making fairy tales real, and with news that subway tracks had been destroyed in multiple places, resulting in some casualties. No one paid attention, since they knew all this was nothing more than a bunch of sensationalist headlines, not very different from the false alarm about the zombie bite years ago. Many students were gathered in front of the school, considering that local rumors were much more interesting than the news. Suddenly, their attention was completely diverted to the figure approaching. It was the beauty of the school, Chu Qingli. Immediately, the crowd wondered if she was finally about to break up with her boyfriend. According to them, the relationship was nothing more than an act of charity on her part. Chu Qingli had already been accepted into Qingcheng University, while her boyfriend hadn't even managed to get into a decent university. Because of this, their futures were on completely different levels. Chu Qingli approached Fang Yi and called his attention. Fang Yi turned around somewhat curious. With a cold expression, she explained that she had thought it over and their relationship wasn't realistic. School-time love always reached a point where one wakes up and realizes they are not meant for each other. A life together, according to her, required not only courage, but also compatibility. For all this reason, it was best to end things. She thought with disdain that no matter what he tried to win her back, it would be impossible. Fang Yi remained silent, and noticing this, people thought his lack of reaction was because he was so shocked that he had collapsed or lost his mind. After all, she was the beauty of the school. They expected him to be on his knees, begging for another chance. However, upon observing him, they simply concluded that he was no match for a rich and beautiful girl, a toad who coveted a swan. With a calm gaze, Fang Yi agreed to break up with her, leaving Chu Qingli and the others in shock. Seeing that she had nothing more to say, our boy turned his back on her and decided to leave. She panicked and called out to him. With a piercing gaze, Fang Yi turned around and asked what she wanted. While her eyes were shining with rage, she made it clear that she didn't care what he was thinking or what tricks he would use. She wasn't going back with him, and she wanted this to be completely clear. Fang Yi began to stare at her and asked her not to flatter herself, calling her the school beauty. Upon hearing this, her eyes widened in surprise, making her blush. The others were in shock at Fang Yi's attitude. Fang Yi was aware that Chu Qingli and the others had no idea what was about to happen. He knew that society's current rules, like money and education, would soon turn to ashes. They were unaware that he had returned from a future disaster, a man reborn in this timeline. Because of this, the Chu Qingli before him was, to him, simply a distant stranger from another life. Fang Yi left the school. He had more important matters to attend to. For him, school beauties and reputation were irrelevant, since everything was about to be completely reconfigured. The real crisis was one looming over all humanity on Blue Star. It all began the night before, when Fang Yi woke up and some strange cracks showed him the future, and then the system informed him that an aura recovery had been detected. Its full activation would take place in 364 days, 11 hours, and 59 minutes, and once this happened, the world would undergo an unprecedented transformation. Fang Yi was somewhat confused. Several figures appeared in front of him, and the system revealed that society's rules would be rewritten. The era of cultivators was about to arrive, and power would become the new standard. Our boy felt somewhat curious, extended his hand and asked who it was. Then a strange light began to appear in front of him. A system window appeared, explaining that it came from the confines of the universe and used top-tier algorithms integrated with cosmic secrets. Its function was to automatically generate cultivation techniques based on spiritual materials touched by the host, showing that current techniques were zero. Fang Yi began to extend his hand, and his eyes widened in surprise as his hand passed through the system window. Then, a powerful monster emerged and began to roar. Fang Yi was paralyzed and his eyes filled with fear. Inside the monster's mouth was a corpse, and the system revealed that this was his end as an ordinary person, as well as the fate of billions on Blue Star. Fang Yi swallowed saliva and could not help but feel afraid. He put his hand over his chest, and his eyes filled with worry. Fang Yi began to ponder and remembered his past life. He had been just an average person, swept along by the tide of events, struggling only to survive with the hope of overcoming the disaster. However, He witnessed the fall of his nation and the suffering of the people, and in the end, he could not escape from the mutated beasts. He remembered dying in despair, full of rage, and with a deep desire for revenge. His eyes began to shine with determination, as he thought that perhaps this was why he had been chosen by the system and brought back 1 year before the recovery of Aura. He began to extend his hand, knowing that at this moment, most people had no idea about the change that was coming. Fang Yi touched the fragments of the system and decided that he would use each anomaly caused by the aura to his advantage. The system began to initialize a new evaluation. The eyes of our boy began to shine as the system informed him that it had been successfully linked. A new path had been unlocked, and now everything in existence could be used as material. His mission was to collect powerful techniques and abilities to become a strong cultivator and save the world. In the city, people were informed that humanity now faced an unprecedented crisis. Answers could not be found in the past. The only option was to adapt with their own strength. Everyone was surprised, except Fang Yi. When he turned on his phone, he saw several notifications. He understood that the government neither confirmed nor denied the strange phenomena, limiting itself to telling people to prepare. This, he knew, was Jia Nation's subtle way of issuing a warning, since reports once considered mythical nonsense would never have gone viral in this way. His eyes filled with sadness as he began to remember the past. He knew that this indirect and silent approach by Jia Nation helped citizens remain calm and trust their country. It was a hard and slow method, but much more effective than the chaos and gunfire of neighboring nations. Then he remembered that the system had told him that he could use anything, which meant that he should go wherever anomalies occurred. His attention was fixed on the phone. It was the #1 trending news. The UV index at Qingcheng University had reached a historic record of the century. Because of this, a heat warning had been issued, urging new students to take safety precautions and use sunscreen. The students were somewhat confused, as they thought that even the best universities now resorted to sensationalist advertising. They considered this false, definitely a paid topic to be trending, since heat of that magnitude could kill people. Fang Yi looked up at the sky and saw that it was full of clouds, then activated the UV meter and saw that it was at 0. He was somewhat confused, as he didn't understand how the weather could be so different, since Qingcheng University was only 15 minutes away by car. Images of a blazing sun above the university were published, and students were informed that new student registration would continue, but they should avoid the north gate due to the high UV index, as all other entrances remained open. Fang Yi couldn't help but smile. He knew that when anomalies occurred for the first time, most people only thought it was a publicity stunt, and only he knew the truth. His eyes began to shine with joy, as his first opportunity had arrived. Fang Yi changed clothes and went to Qingcheng University. Everyone was carrying umbrellas. It was so hot that the leaves of the trees had fallen. Our boy went to the north gate of Qingcheng University, the least crowded of all. He knew that something was definitely wrong in this place. Shiny ashes began to descend from the sky. While students were fleeing to avoid being scorched to death, Fang Yi's attention was fixed on it. He sat down and decided to touch it. Once his finger made contact, an intense glow began to emerge from it, and the system reported that it had detected an intense fluctuation in the Yang attribute, unlocking the data template of it. The energy began to enter Fang Yi's body, causing him terrible pain. An intense glow began to emerge from our boy's body. People covered their eyes to avoid going blind. They didn't know what was happening and thought they were hallucinating. The energy started burning Fang Yi's clothes, making him clench his teeth tightly. He put his hands on top of his head and started going crazy, not knowing if the system had finished compiling. He felt like he was about to die. The compilation was completed, and Fang Yi acquired a Yang attribute technique, the Golden Sun breathing technique. Later, it's the day for new students to register at Qingcheng University. Our main character's ex-girlfriend arrives at the registration area. A guy offers to carry her suitcase for her. Soon, more guys come over to try and get her attention, but she turns them all down, telling them she doesn't need their help. She looks over at a couple nearby with a sneer, but then a bright golden light flashes, surprising her and the other students. A voice on the loudspeaker tells everyone to stay away from the north gate. The girl looks serious and decides to go see what is happening. At the north gate, a huge burst of golden energy lights up the area. A dark figure appears from the smoke, giving off a powerful feeling. He takes a deep breath, and his eyes glow with a strong golden light. A screen pops up, telling him that he has created a new technique and earned 50 points. The guy looks at the screen and wonders what the points are for. He decides it's not important right now, but will probably be useful later. Time passes, and it is now night, with a strange-looking moon in the sky. The young man then starts to practice his new breathing technique. The next day, a bright sun is in the sky, and a new energy spreads through the university. Some students notice the sky get dark and cool for a second as they run to the north gate. A large crowd gathers there to see what is going on. The university's dean is angry and asks why no one listened to the warning to stay away. The group pushes through the crowd, which moves aside for them as they go to the center of it all. A hooded person with a serious look tells the dean to block off the north gate completely. At that moment, a system tells Fang Yi that he has cleaned a polluted area. He learns that the government already knows about these areas and wonders if there are other people like him. Hearing an alert about people not being allowed in the area, the young man knows things have gotten serious. The students see people in uniforms and wonder if they are from the army. From a rooftop, Fang Yi sees that the disturbance is getting a lot of attention. With his red eyes glowing, he decides it's time to leave and jumps off the building. Down below, the mysterious hooded person walks across the ground, which is cracked from the energy. The hooded figure looks carefully at the scene. This person kneels and touches the ground to feel for any remaining energy. Then, she picks up a piece of the ground to get a closer look at what happened. The hooded figure studies it and realizes a person caused the energy. Just then, officials begin moving the students out, while the person in the hood watches from far away. In the crowd, the guy's ex-girlfriend is shocked to hear that only one person did this. At that moment, she sees a figure jumping away and wonders if it was her ex, but she quickly pushes that thought away. With his grades, he could never get into this school. Far away at Fang Yi's house, the sun goes down and night falls. Lying on his bed, the young man complains that his body is still hot, even after a cold shower. Because of the heat, he's afraid he won't get any sleep. He also worries that because of what happened today, someone might have noticed him. He then picks up his phone and sees a popular news story about a cultivation association. The young man remembers that everyone used to think it was just a joke on the internet. Just then, he remembers the hooded people at the university and thinks they must be from the association. Curious, he opens the news story to read the whole article. It explains the different cultivation levels, from ghost acts to total transcendence. In the comments, people think it's a joke, but he wonders if the announcement is real. Fang Yi thinks about how he never knew any of this in his past life as a normal person. Sitting on his bed, he thinks about the cultivation association and decides to try his technique again. He closes his eyes and focuses to start his training. In that moment, he begins to sweat as a strong, golden energy flows around him. He starts to float in his room, surrounded by a bright golden glow. A light shines on him. The first step is to strengthen his body to hold the power of heaven and earth. He successfully controls the energy and shapes it into a divine axe. His eyes glow brightly, and he smiles, feeling full of power. The system tells him he has reached the Dushui level and gives him 50 more points. The guy remembers the points and reads the screen, which says a new path is now open. The system explains that the points can be used to put the compiled data into any object. He thinks about the idea of putting power into an object and looks at his mug on the table. He holds his hand out toward the mug with a golden glow of power. The system asks if he wants to use 1 point to put the Yang attribute on the mug. He realizes this is like enchanting an item to give it a special power. The young man thinks that if he did this to a weapon, it would become his own special item for fighting. He decides that having a powered-up weapon will be very important for what is to come. The guy then finds a small sword on his shelf and decides to try the power on it. He thinks that if the test works, he will buy a real weapon to be ready for the monsters. Suddenly, a strange noise from outside the building gets his attention in the middle of the night. Outside, a dark creature with huge claws is watching Fang Yi's apartment. With glowing red eyes, the strange creature shows its sharp teeth in the darkness. It looks like a giant demonic rabbit and gets ready to attack the building. But inside the apartment, the guy has no idea that danger is coming. Lying in bed, the guy feels uncomfortable from his new cultivation technique. With his red eyes, he wonders where the sound, which was like a rat, came from. He thinks the sound is not from inside or from the pipes, and it might be a neighbor's pet. Walking through the living room, he thinks that with his better hearing, it is normal to hear the neighbors. Then the guy focuses his hearing to listen more carefully to the strange sound, but he soon realizes something is wrong and becomes alert. Fang Yi goes to the door and comes face to face with the scary creature right there in the dark hallway. In the hallway, the strange creature with red eyes appears and glares at him, ready to attack. He is startled and recognizes the mutated beast. A memory from his past life scares him. At the same time, a drone flies over the city at night, showing that others know about the danger. On top of a building, a girl complains that they still have not caught the rabbit that ate a rare fruit. With a lollipop in her mouth, the young woman seems very calm and confident about the mission. She then orders her team to keep sending her updates about the target she is hunting. After that, the mysterious girl jumps from the top of the building to begin the chase. Falling very fast, she moves with ease between the huge city buildings. Suddenly, the young woman feels the mutated beast's power and realizes she is getting closer to it. With her eyes glowing, she finally finds the creature and gets ready for a fight. The mysterious hunter lands hard on a rooftop, moving with amazing skill. Running down the side of a building, she gets the order to chase the target no matter what. With a perfect landing, the young woman continues her chase without stopping. Jumping from building to building, she warns that the creature ate a special fruit and might evolve. Just then, a man working late sees something fast go by his window and is very confused. He wonders if he is seeing things, but his boss yells at him for just standing around. Meanwhile, the hunter stands like a shadow in front of the moon on the 65th floor. Back in the apartment, Fang Yi faces the strange creature, which screams at him. With his golden eyes, he knows his body has changed, and now he can fight it fairly. The creature then attacks with its claws, but the young man dodges with amazing speed. Fang Yi thinks that his body has really changed, and now he can see the attacks in slow motion. With sun energy in his hand, he wonders why a mutated beast is here so soon. He then remembers things from his past life and faces the monster. The guy knows the creature has not fully evolved yet, and the night makes it stronger and angrier. So he rushes forward to attack, because he has to stop it, or everyone in the building will die. Fang Yi manages to grab the creature with his hand full of energy. With surprising strength, the guy bites the strange creature without any fear. He holds the monster tightly, and his golden eyes shine with a cold, focused look. Then the young man spins the creature in the air and realizes its tail is its weak spot. Taking his chance, he grabs the beast's tail with all his strength. Fang Yi throws the monster against the window, and it shatters from the force. With his fist glowing gold, he gets ready to land a powerful punch. The guy shoots a beam of energy that hits the creature right in the air. The monster is then completely covered by the bright golden beam of light, but the strange creature grabs the golden energy with its claws and tries to take its power. Fang Yi then realizes the monster is trying to steal his yang power, and he fights back. He thinks the power of the sun is too strong and that the rabbit is just destroying itself. Soon after, a golden explosion covers the monster, which can't handle that much energy. In the building next door, a couple wakes up from the noise, and the man wonders if it was thunder. He then goes to the window to check, but sees nothing strange outside. Our hero lands on the floor, surrounded by what is left of his golden energy. The young man thinks that the creature was like a starving ghost trying to eat his power. After the fight, the monster's eye falls to the floor, letting out a weird black smoke. With a serious look, he stares at what is left of the creature he just defeated. Without thinking twice, the guy stomps hard on the eye, crushing the rest of the beast. He understands that the creature of the night was desperate for his opposite yang-type power. The young man thinks that if he were normal, the monster would have easily eaten everyone in the building. With that, he knows he needs to learn more techniques to face the dangers ahead. Meanwhile, a mysterious girl jumps through the air in the moonlight, looking like a hunter. With amazing speed, the young woman runs very fast down the side of a building. When she gets to the scene, the mysterious hunter's eyes open wide with shock. Standing there in the middle of the night, she wonders if someone else defeated her target. Kneeling on the ground, she notes that the target has been destroyed, and that she will try to get the night attribute back. But as she touches the monster's remains, she is surprised by a golden energy that is still there. The young woman then feels a strong heat and a burning power that makes her pull back right away. The young woman remembers the energy from the university gate and understands that this is not a coincidence. After this discovery, the girl turns on her communicator with a serious and determined look. She tells her base that the target was taken out by a powerful new forerunner with a special ability. A voice on her communicator asks if the same person cleaned the gate and killed the rabbit. A man confirms they have no information on this person, and that the association must recruit him. The silver-haired girl agrees with the plan. She then carefully puts the small flame of energy into a container on her clothes. Her boss tells her to stop her other missions and focus on finding the new forerunner. At that, the mysterious hunter calmly unwraps the lollipop she was holding. The young woman puts the candy in her mouth and says she understands the new order perfectly. But before she starts the mission, the girl says she first needs to get some milk tea to relax. A voice on the communicator wonders who this mysterious person with so much power could be. The young woman agrees that the president was right and that she needs to meet this powerful master. Feng Yi's day starts with the sunrise. He stretches, ready to train. He knows waking up early is good for his power, so he prepares for another session. The fighter uses his breathing method, taking in the morning's golden energy. As the energy fills him, his eyes glow with golden power. He enters the Ghost Axe realm and feels the technique's power appear. A sudden burst of energy surprises him. He realizes he's getting stronger again. Power flows through his body, and he focuses to control it. He makes a tight fist, feeling the energy now in his hand. He summons his key axe and sees that the weapon feels much lighter. He grips the weapon's handle firmly, ready to try out his new strength. The warrior lifts the golden axe over his head, preparing a powerful hit. He reaches the 2-star Ghost Axe realm, releasing his strength. His eyes now burn with golden flames, showing his new power. Feng Yi's body feels much stronger and tougher after this change. He grew stronger so fast because he used the extra energy from his last power-up. Feng Yi decides that from now on, he will level up slowly and carefully, one step at a time. But his growing power gets a lot of attention, so he needs a more private place. In the association's office, a man feels something strange in the air. He sees the change in the sun's energy and wonders if it's the new guy again. Feng Yi finds a quiet spot by a river to continue his plans. A system screen appears, and he confirms he will add a special quality to his weapon. He remembers trying this with another item, but it couldn't handle the power. This time, the new blade works with his energy, making a strong connection. A system message confirms the item encoding worked. Excited by his new weapon, he gets ready to test its amazing power right away. The test result shocks him with the incredible power the sword let out. A huge golden beam of light shoots from the blade into the sky. The warrior lands with his sword in flames, feeling the power flow through him. He almost starts a fire with that swing and sees how dangerous his strength is. The smoke from the attack is big, so he knows he was seen and needs to leave. A girl is running fast toward the smoke he left. She complains that she stepped away for a moment and missed everything. Suddenly, the young woman stops. She sees that the river is actually boiling. The agent flies over the damaged area, wondering what the new guy did to the place. She can already imagine being told off, since everything has gone wrong since he appeared. Just then, a golden flash in the distance catches her eye, and she becomes curious. The hunter is shocked by what she senses. This shouldn't be possible. His power level jumped from 1 star to 2 stars, and he even made a spirit weapon. The association only has 2 of those weapons, and the way to make them isn't fully known. The girl gets suspicious, wondering how he got this kind of power by himself. But she thinks she must be wrong and decides to start cleaning up the mess he made. Far away, Feng Yi thinks about how his weapon now has the Yang attribute, but he wants more. The system can encode anything, so he plans to add more qualities to the blade. Suddenly, his phone buzzes. He has a message from someone he doesn't know. He completely forgot about being private, and now a stranger is inviting him to a pioneers group. He's shocked to learn that official members must be at least Ghost Axe realm level. The stranger talks about a new pollution zone and invites him to a group hunt. He asks for the location, and the stranger sends a file about the lava dragon of the Shadow River. The zone has lava, and the same Yang attribute he has, so Feng Yi decides to accept the invitation. Far away in the Binmu district, a group is waiting for old Li's friend to arrive. One member says the girl's map was so good, he got there easily. The blonde girl thanks everyone for coming and tells them they need to work together. She is from the Cultivation Association and is disappointed that the pioneers here aren't very strong. What many don't know is that the Cultivation Association is a government group. Getting into the group was hard and required her family to ask for favors, so she hates to fail. Just then, one of the explorers sees the newbie arriving and calls him by his name, Fang. Feng Yi makes a strong entrance with his new sword and introduces himself to the group. The agent is startled by his power, but sees his aura isn't scary, but warm. Since the team is all there, the leader gives the signal, and they go toward the cave entrance. Feng Yi decides to go first and asks the blonde agent to take care of the light. The group walks through the cave, and one of them warns Fang about the loose rocks. They think it's strange that the place isn't very hot yet. Feng Yi reflects on how quickly the team accepted him and feels that their friendship is real in these hard times. Feng Yi keeps moving forward, and the ground under his feet starts to change color, showing that danger is near. Suddenly, they get to a huge opening and are amazed to see a river of boiling lava right in front of them. Without hesitating, Fang rushes toward the danger, and the blonde agent yells at him not to be so reckless. To everyone's surprise, the warrior pushes his sword right into the lava. The explorers panic and scream for help, A fiery explosion throws the team back, and Fang Yi's system detects a worldwide problem and starts to analyze the information. As he plunged his sword into the lava, Fang Yi's system analyzed the anomaly, revealing a new power, the inner flame, with an extremely high internal temperature and explosive properties, and the Scarlet Flame sword technique, which unleashed its power when the blade was drawn, coating it in fire and lightning. Resolved, Fang Yi gripped his sword. His eyes and the blade glowed with fiery power, a perfect technique for his Tang sword. Below, the other explorers, thrown back by a previous explosion, watched in amazement as Fang Yi stood unharmed in a vortex of fire, realizing his weapon was absorbing the lava's power. Fang Yi then used his script points to permanently embed the Scarlet Flame attribute into his sword, which now burned with energy. When the flame subsided, his teammates concluded he had suffered a small cultivation accident and had recovered. The group was euphoric, noticing the cave's spiritual energy had stabilized. One of them celebrated being able to absorb it smoothly, while another, on the verge of beginning his cultivation path, excitedly shouted Xiaoya's name. The blonde agent, Xiaoya, encouraged them to train while she kept watch, and the team thanked her for the opportunity. The peace was interrupted when Xiaoya detected figures approaching the entrance, warning that other pioneers were arriving. 3 muscular men entered, led by one with an eye patch and glowing red eyes who arrogantly declared the resource-rich land was now theirs. Xiaoya grew worried, recognizing all 3 newcomers were at the 1-star Ghost Axe realm, a level her team couldn't challenge. Despite the danger, Xiaoya tried to reason with them, politely stating they had arrived first and even offering to let them join. Her diplomacy was met with contempt. The eye-patch-wearing leader mocked her low level and ordered them to get lost or face the consequences. Xiaoya's expression hardened. She reflected on the harsh reality of survival of the fittest in this new era, but as a member of the Xia Nations Association, she decided she couldn't allow this injustice. Just as the confrontation was about to escalate, Fang Yi stepped between Xiaoya and the hostile leader. With his sword ignited, he coldly asked the large man if he had nothing better to do than bully a young woman. The eye-patch-wearing leader was left stunned and speechless. Without hesitation, Fang Yi unleashed a single, devastating swing that created a fiery explosion, sending the 3 aggressors flying. The force of the attack startled Fang Yi's own teammates from their meditation. He remembered the tragedies caused by those who followed the survival of the fittest principle, knowing only overwhelming force would work on such people. To make his point, Fang Yi drove his blade into the ground in front of the rival leader. Surrounded by an immense golden aura, he coldly ordered them to scram. Terrified by this second display of power, the leader called Fang Yi a monster and screamed for his men to run as Fang Yi watched them flee. His teammates rushed over, buzzing with excitement over his incredible power. Fang Yi smiled, brushing it off and suggesting it was time to leave. As they left, Xiaoya contemplated the immense power Fang Yi had shown, realizing he had held back. Convinced he was a top-tier pioneer, she knew she had to report this major discovery to her organization immediately. The scene shifts to the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association office, where a woman on the phone with Xiaoya repeated in surprise that another high-attribute pioneer had appeared. The office worker grew flustered, realizing she had said too much, especially with an imposing man standing behind her. She awkwardly hung up after confirming the report. The young woman cheerfully asked her gray-haired superior if they were lucky enough to have 2 high-attribute pioneers in a row. He, however, grimly corrected her that luck had nothing to do with it, explaining that every high-attribute individual is destined to become a new center of power, a responsibility that stressed him immensely. Under a sunny sky, Fang Yi returned to the city. He tried to disguise himself as a cosplayer, but his powerful presence and authentic sword only drew more attention. His walk was interrupted when he saw on his phone that news of the cave incident had already gone viral. He chided himself for his carelessness, knowing the eruption of his internal flame was too noticeable. Dismissing the idea that his teammates would betray him, he focused on a more urgent matter. The massive yang energy he had absorbed was pushing him toward a new breakthrough. He needed to find a secluded place immediately and headed for the back mountain. 5 minutes later, on that same mountain, a silver-haired young woman named Su Qingying, a garden restoration expert, felt a sudden, powerful presence. She saw an intense burst of light, like a miniature sun, and recognized the signs of a cultivator breaking through to the 3-star Ghost Axe realm. The scale of the energy astounded her. She'd never imagined a breakthrough of that realm could be so monstrous. Driven by a sense of duty and a flash of recognition, she raced toward the disturbance, vowing to catch the mysterious individual this time. High on the mountain, Fang Yi was focused on his breakthrough. He pulled in huge amounts of golden energy, which spun around him before forming a bright, sun-like ball above his head. As he meditated in the air, the power behind him formed a complex, star-shaped divine shape. Golden energy sparked across his skin, and his eyes glowed with great power as he tried to control the wild energy.